So we're going now to move to the last two case studies presentations. And we're going back to the single format, if I may say, and we will go into national cases. I will first call Olivier. So Olivier Larouissinie is French, as you can understand from his name. Olivier is Deputy Director for Maritime Planning and Large Projects at Cerema Technical Directorate for Risk Water and Sea. Maybe you want to explain us a little bit what Cerema is, Olivier, as you start your talk. But before you joined that position, you had a first experience as a forest engineer, and you spent 10 years in forest. So you basically moved from the forest to the sea. And you took the direction of the French Marine Protected Areas Agencies in 2007. And in 2016, you joined the organization, the delegation for Sea and Coast as a deputy delegate at the ministry in charge of the sea. You have participated in international seminars and events in relation with marine strategic planning issues, and you're also running trainings and professional support to different stakeholders. So the floor is yours. Thanks, Olivier.
Thank you, Chantal.
Maybe you need.
I share my screen and just check with you that it's okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thanks a lot. So good morning again to everyone. Well, I will talk about this French experience of having a maritime planning in the sea basin of the French Mediterranean. At the national level in France, we have a national strategy for sea and coast. I repeat, sea and coast, not only sea. And it's a general strategy. And then we are at the sea basin level doing a more precise strategy, again for sea and coast, and which is supposed to be a sustainable development strategy, so something broad. And it includes the implementation of the Marine Strategy Framework Directive and the Maritime Spatial Planning Directive. I will focus on the ecosystem side of the story, and I will be positive about what we are doing. For those that are knowing a little bit more, don't hesitate to criticize. First, how do we have the scientific input for the ecological aspects in our planning exercise? There is, let's say, 3 steps: individual scientific reports. We are asking scientists to provide elements about a list of indicators or things. And then in the second step, we have a synthesis that are, I will call long synthesis, presenting the initial assessment of the sea basin. And in a third step, we try to have short syntheses that are mostly related to the needs of policymakers and the discussion with stakeholders. And the players for that, the actors, are the scientific institutions, of course, alone in the first step and participating to the second one. The technical institutions, mainly 2 of them, the Agency for Biodiversity and the Cerema. And the Cerema is also a public agency, but let's say looking at engineering of territories, risk, climate change, land planning, etc., included maritime planning. And they're the technical agencies. They are in charge of the second step and contributing to the third one with the last player, which are the policymakers. And of course, when you are doing a short synthesis, you are already choosing what is important, and it's already discussing about conclusions. So it's policymaking. Then, of course, you have to talk with stakeholders and the public. Well, there is an institutional organization for that. There is at the national level a national committee, and there is a sea basin committee where all stakeholders are represented, all sectors, NGOs, local authorities, and this committee is permanent, so it is here all along the process, and including during the implementation of the strategy, of course. And for the larger public, we have several steps at which we are supposed to have a consultation. I will focus on a very special moment when you have the initial assessment. You are trying to say what are the main issues and trying to elaborate a vision for the future. And then we organize a consultation with the public. We are doing it under the control of the National Commission for Public Debate. So we are supposed to do it clearly and soundly. And we do it through an internet platform, participative. People can say what they think about the issues we selected and the vision we are proposing, but also with a citizens workshop. We had in 2018 20 workshops along the coast, gathering in total 500 participants, and during 2 hours in a word cafe format, we discussed the issues and the vision. So this is really an important moment. And what is important with the information you are giving to the public at this moment, they have access to the whole scientific information, but they also can just look at the short synthesis I was talking about. And then you have to decide something. So the strategic objectives and the vocation map, the spatial planning. In the Mediterranean, we reach 115 strategic objectives. 50 of them are environmental objectives. But let's say that in the socioeconomic objectives, there is also 20 that are for ecological transition, and you can say it's also about environment. Who is proposing these objectives? Of course, the policymakers, but technical agencies, they are contributing, they are proposing, and often they are looking back at the scientists to talk with them about the proposal we can do. And in the process, there is a cross-checking of the impact between the different strategic objectives. And again, it's a job of the technical agencies to provide an assessment of cross-checking the impact of the objectives between them. Of course, the policymakers, they have to adapt and then to make the decision, consulting again stakeholders and the public, and reaching the final decision. The result, talking about spatial planning, is a vocation map you have on my slide. There is 30 areas dividing the French Mediterranean, and for each area you have a vocation, which is somehow a specialization of the strategic objectives of the sea basin. And more precisely for the environmental aspect, I took the example of the area 11, Littoral Varois, and there is very few words saying what are the issues you have to be careful of in this area. You are talking about, well, what it is, diversity of habitats, but there is Posidonia bed, that's first thing important. There is also a particular feature, a barrier reef at Le Brusque, and it is unique in the Mediterranean. So you put the light on that, and you know that no decision can be taken that will destroy this barrier reef. And then talking about the birds feeding area, and this particular 11th area is between two national parks, so there is also the function of corridor, the park that is mentioned in the issues and the objective for this area. So this is a very short presentation. I'm sorry about what we try to do in terms of science policy, society interactions, and focused on the ecosystem aspects. And of course, it's not a linear process, and you have to go back to the previous steps regularly and to reach the final decision. I will conclude like that, and be happy to know what are the key enablers you think I am using.
Thank you very much, Olivier. Very interesting presentation and lots of challenges for what I can see. Martina, can you put up the vote, please? So what would you identify as the 3 key enablers that Olivier was referring to? Olivier, what's your reaction?
I'm checking with my own. Well, I quite agree with that, and I'm very pleased that you point out one I didn't see myself, which is a transdisciplinary and socio-ecological approach. You are right. Actually, it's very important, and it's part of the difficulties, you know, mobilizing scientists, because as you know, for science, you have to be good in your discipline, and it's really difficult to save time to look at the other disciplines. And it's part of the question for them to have a recognition of what they are doing while they are talking with other disciplines, so that we can provide better knowledge, and this transdisciplinary knowledge. So I'm very pleased about your answers.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Olivier, also for your patience and for staying with us.